Hello there, and welcome to Wilson Waffling Live, episode 21, would you believe it? Recorded on Sunday, the 2nd of November 2015. Challenging education and discussions. Run titles.
Wilson Waffling.
Hello there, and welcome to this week's Wilson Waffling Live, episode 21. Would you believe it? 21. Have you seen them all, I wonder? Are you one of these people who've seen every single one, every single live broadcast, or every single YouTube of Wilson Waffling Live? Have you? You might want to go back and check. There was a great one when the Tour de France came to York, and I was there in my yellow jersey. There was another one when I was sat in Oxford, and I think there was another one when I was telling elephant jokes. Yes, that was the first one ever. So, welcome to Wilson. I'll just adjust myself in my chair here. Welcome to Wilson Waffling Live 21. We're at 21, and this has been a very fun week, because the first thing I will say is that on this week, of course, it was Halloween. Woo! This is when I wish I had some really fancy effects to go at the top of this, but I don't. Oh. Do you know, that is really weird. Where? Do you know, this is so strange, because I prepared this and now I've got strange music in my ears coming from somewhere, like Halloween music. Where's that coming from? That is most peculiar. And it's gone. That is the most peculiar. I mentioned Halloween, and I got this really weird music coming from my headphones from somewhere. Where on earth did that come from? Totally weird. Anyway, look, it's me. I dressed up as a witch for Halloween. Would you believe? I dressed up as a witch for Halloween, and it was well received. And it's nice to know that even though, see, primary school, once you're a primary school teacher, you never lose it. And I even there's actually a picture. If I can find it, look, I'll just zoom across to here. Here's Twitter, and there's actually a picture here of me dressed up. If I can find it, here it comes. Pop up. Oh, you can't see it. I need to sort that out, but I'm there dressed up as a witch. I will show you that at a later time if I get it. So yes, so it was, that is so weird. I can't get over. Could you hear that music, or was it just me? There was definitely sort of like Halloween music being played in my ears. That is completely and utterly weird. So that was me dressed up as a witch. Now, can I just say, please, that there, sorry, down in this corner here, that's my MacBook, and that behind me there, I'm sorry, I'm just back from the gym, so that's my gym gear on the radiator drying. Not because I've washed it, not because it's super sweaty, but I've washed it. So that's there. So that's what that is. So, let's get on with it. Let's get on and get this moving. So, first of all, welcome again. And remember that if you would like to follow me on Twitter, there it is, iWilsonYSJ. So feel free to follow along there. And let's get straight into the first part of the show, which of course is all about my this week's waffle. And here's this week's waffles. So this is Wilson Waffling, and here we have this week's waffle, which is called The Purpose of education. And this was a challenge that was set up by the TES, Times Education Supplement, to waffle about the purpose of education in 500 words or less. 500 words or less. So because I wanted to accept the challenge, I did it. And this is my final post. And can I just say that the 500 words goes from like that. This is the preamble. The top bit's the preamble, so that doesn't count. That is the education bit. And I must say, I can safely say, it was one of the hardest waffles I've written. Hardest waffles I've written ever, because number one, I'm not all that good at sort of like academic work, which is a problem. But writing academically, I always sort of like fall into sort of like waffle speech, if that makes sense, for my blog. So, but I really did think, what is the purpose of education? And I mean, you can go and read the whole article. Go and read the whole article or the whole waffle by all means, because I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that if you did that. But I just wanted to sum it up. And I wanted to sum it up in the sense that my education to me is the vehicle for learning. So learning is what we all do, and we do this all the time, non-stop, in every aspect of life. And it's where once we wake up to falling to sleep, we are learning. And sometimes we choose to digest that learning and keep that learning, and other times we forget about it and then we do nothing about it. But basically we're learning all the time. And to me, education is almost the vehicle for learning, if that makes sense. And we might decide to go to an institute to focus in our learning, but basically that's what education is. It's sort of like the vehicle for learning. And to me, in schools and in institutions nowadays, education is almost like tunneled. To me, the purpose of education is to say, go out and learn in any way you wish. And at the moment, I think education is almost like tunnel vision. It's almost like we're going down a tunnel, and the light at the end of the tunnel is what is sort of like... I've just had that music again. I think I've figured out where it was. I just had blasting music in my head again. I thought it was a Halloween ghost again. And to me, education, we're going down this tunnel towards the end point, and the purpose of education appears in institutions to get to that end point, to get to that goal. And these goals are sort of like set for us by government or learning outcomes or something, and we're just piling down towards that goal. And because we've got these learning outcomes, because we've got these targets or levels in the olden days before it changed or anything like that, we're constantly going towards that. And we're almost like tunnel visioned to that aim. And to me, the purpose of education is like that at the moment. It's to get us from one point to the next point. And hopefully we learn along the way. And I think the purpose of education shouldn't be like that. I think the purpose of education is, here you are now. And now what I would like you to do is decide where you would like to be. And that is part of education, that journey from where you are now to where you would like to be, what you would like to learn. And I think education should give us that opportunity. And I'm currently desperately trying to write my PhD proposal, but at the moment it is so difficult and I wonder whether or not I've come through a system where the education system has provided me with the learning rather than the freedom to learn, if that makes sense. And I know that traditionalists or people will say you can't possibly have an education system that is totally free of choice and devoid of rules and pathways. Am I being realistic or unrealistic? I don't know. But I do wish, or I do hope, that it would get to that stage. And I say at the end that just here, I'll just highlight it for you, in the sense that I guess it might be an idealistic thinking that we can have an education process that needs that meets the individual needs of all learners. This might be why I focus on the learning within the system and how I can create new and innovative ways in order to promote a more individual approach. And it's really interesting, and I think if anybody does read it, there might be a lot of people who disagree or have different points of view, which is absolutely fine. And I think it was really interesting for me to sort of like challenge my perception about education, and more importantly the purpose of it, and what my perceived purpose of it is, and what generally perceived purpose is. So that was a bit deep, wasn't it? It was a bit deep, that, but I'm glad you kept with it, and I hope it made some sense to you. I don't know, but anyway, if you want to read everything, then pop along there and have a read. So let's. I tell you what, I forgot the intro for my waffle. All right, never mind. Well, let's go on to the next part, because the next part, of course, is the discussion forums. So let's zip along to the discussion forums. So let's have a look at the discussion forums. Now, the discussion forums are not going very well. I must admit, it's not my best interaction at the moment. Not my best interaction. So if I pop along to and show you, look. So here's my discussion forums. I've got them in a new window here. And response to low-level disruptive behaviour. This was quite good. We got quite a lot of. We got 14 responses for that one, which is fantastic. Assessing the mathematics lesson, we got 3, and I think one of those is mine. But here we go. Here's the responses, and we looked at this last week, I think, and it's interesting that these were all anonymous. They came through the survey, and I put another one up last week about what Ofsted does not want for Christmas or forever. Okay, and this was based on an article about what Ofsted said that they didn't want. And we did get a response. I did get a response. So here's a response. Thank you to this person who actually made this response. I appreciate it. Thank you. If I knew who you are, I would Waffle Wilson you a badge. Anyway, I think it is interesting to see the emphasis on Ofsted is going on this issue. Surely the document should have been published years ago. Yes, very good point. And I think this is one of the problems with new frameworks in education and new changes in Ofsted all the time, is that there is a change and then we have to second guess in education what they actually need or what they actually mean by the wording, because sometimes they do a wording you think, what does that mean? And then try to catch up. So anyway, however, people still mention that from experienced inspectors are wanting to see full lesson plans, something which the document says is not necessary. So there's this problem that it might not be filtering down to the inspectors in the school. Further, surely a clear guidance list would bring far more clarity into inspections rather than listing what they don't want to see. Surely inspectors want schools to do well and so should be transparent. And I think whoever wrote this is dead right. I'm totally in favour of the idea of, instead of Ofsted saying what they don't want to see, Ofsted telling us what they do want to see and saying it in very clear and precise language. And also, if they say something like, we want to see that children are progressing, it's almost like giving us specific examples about how they want to see this or what evidence they want to see, or some kind of example or case study that we can look at. So thank you to that one person. That was really interesting, and I'm really pleased that you engaged with that. And so what I've done, I thought, right, I'm going to do two things that I've decided to do. The first thing that I'm going to do is that I've picked a topic this week that I think is a lot more generic and maybe hopefully you will have some views on. So can you see here, I've put homework, love it or hate it. Okay, and what I've put here, I've said, can you remember doing your homework on the night before, telling your parents about it just before you went to bed? What are your views about children's homework in primary school? Okay, should this be compulsory or should it be eliminated completely? I provided some links to my previous waffles I've written about the subject if you would like to see what I think. And you can see there that I've just noticed that my links are not there, but here is the I've put the survey there, so you can type in your points of view there, or if you wish, if you want to be brave, you could always log into the server, into the register for the forums. And if you do wish to register to the forums, and it's just here, you see just there, register for forums, and all you need to do is fill in the details, a little capture there to make sure I don't get a lot of spam, and then you can post in anywhere you want. So not the most stunning, not the most numerous responses to this week's discussions, but a very good one. So if you want to have your say about homework, and if you think, yes, I want to talk about homework, then by all means nip along to the discussion forum and you can have a look and post your opinions there. Homework, love it or hate it. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do, because I said I was going to do two things, if you remember, the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to publicise it more and try to get more people involved, not only from my own university, well, not my university, the university I work in, but from around, from Twitter and things like that. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more response, a few more responses next week. But if you're that one person who keeps responding, keep going. I thank you. Thank you very much. So let's now move on to one of my favourite parts of the show, Waffling Wilson Answers.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Ask Waffling Wilson.
Please note, the new number is...
Ask Waffling Wilson.
Hello?
So here we are with Ask Waffling Wilson. Oh, do you know, this is always the most exciting part of the show, I tell you, because this is the time that I get to look at this. And this is my iPhone, and I actually look to see whether or not I've had any questions. So it's quite a sort of like build-up. Now, if you do want to ask me any questions, you can find the link here, and they go on to the Ask Waffling Wilson page. And then there's also a link from wafflingwilson.co.uk that you can go to as well. And so here are the questions. So I'm opening the app now. How exciting is this? How exciting. Let's see how many we got. Right. I'm not classing the question of the day. But we've got two. How exciting. Okay, thank you those two people who have given me some questions. So anyway, question number 1. What do you prefer, cats or dogs? Now, I am presuming you mean as pets and not as edible food. So what do I prefer, cats or dogs? Well, not keen on dogs. I must admit, not keen on dogs at all. They tend to be smelly, and I could never poop and scoop, never in this world. Even thinking about it makes me shudder. I know they're man's best friend or a person's best friend and everything like that, but to me, I like the independence that a cat has. And I used to have a cat, and it used to be called Tosca. And sadly, she's no longer with us. She died. But I vowed then never to have another cat after that. But I do miss her. I think sometimes it's nice to sit and watch television and stroke your cat on your lap, you know, while you're watching television, especially on a cold winter's night with a fire on, etc. But definitely a cat person. So I'll answer that question, add it, you know, and I'm never too sure, you know, whether or not these are questions for the day or whether or not people have actually asked me. I'm going to believe that these are questions that people have asked me. So there. So here we go. So the next question, who is your favourite Marvel superhero? Now, this is really interesting because this is different to what powers are like. And I think my favourite Marvel superhero has to be Gambit from the X-Men, because I have this real thing for staffs. I think staffs are the most versatile weapon you can ever have, and I like the way he chucks his cards and things like that. I also like Iceman. I think to have a power over an element, I think would be absolutely fantastic. So I am going to go for Gambit first, and then Iceman. So those are my favourite. Those are my favourite two people, and those were the two. Now, there is a question of the day, which I'll answer as well. It says, which 3 words describe what living in your city is like? I would say it is picturesque. I think where I live in York, a very historical city, which is very picturesque. So I really like living there. I think also it's busy with tourists. I think there's a lot of tourists here, but also historical. I think York's very historical, and I think that leads to the nice views and things like that. So those are my 3 words. So thank you very much if you actually posted one of those questions. I appreciate it. And remember, if you want to post more, then you can go here and post them at ask.fm/Wilson Waffling, or there is also up here there is a link on Wilson Waffling, my webpage, that you can go straight to. So I'm coming to the end. I'm coming to the end of today's show. Sorry it's not a little bit longer, but I just thought I'm just going to try to keep them simple, and there's some other things that I'm going to try to do. I'm trying to get my YouTube channel up and running, and it's not doing very well, so I'm going to try to do some different sort of like approaches to YouTube videos. And we'll still have this one will still up there, but maybe look at doing some other sort of like ideas, etc., or little mini YouTube videos or something as I go through the day. So we'll see how that will go. I think it might be I always like doing this. I always like to do 2 things before I sign off, just because we like to do it. The first one, I always like to go across to the chat. Here's the chat. Da, da, da. Look at that. I wonder if it's actually... I just need to check. Yep, it's working. How depressing is that? Yeah, so not a lot of people in the chat. Let's just zip across to Twitter. Anything to report on Twitter? No. But there's a lot of dead things today. Lots of dead Twitters and chats. I know the regulars have been watching, and I thank you for that. So anyway, if you would like to go along and have a look at the YouTube channel, then please do, and by all means subscribe or thumbs up or like my broadcast. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, then you can follow me at iWilsonYSJ, and of course you can ask me any question you wish at ask.fm/Waffling Wilson. If you would like me to talk about any specific topic, then by all means just email me or contact me in the usual way. And remember that you can get involved with the discussion forums by going along to the discussion forum, the Waffling forum on Wilson Waffling, and either subscribe, register for the forums, or get straight in there and actually start posting via the survey, which will be absolutely fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Wilson Waffling Live. I know it's been a bit of a quick one, but I really want you to read that that challenge that I did for TS rather than me just reading it out to you. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. I look forward to seeing you next week, and until then, have a lovely week, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.